Have you ever had a rare, quiet moment to yourself, a sudden pocket of empty time, and felt a rising tide of panic? You don't know what to do with the stillness. The silence is deafening. You find yourself reaching for your phone, for a task, for any distraction to fill the void. Because, in that quiet space, a terrifying question emerges. Without your roles, without your duties, without the needs of others to attend to, who are you? For years, you have been a master architect of other people's lives. You have nurtured their dreams, soothed their fears, and met their needs. But in the process, the blueprint for your own inner world has been lost. The things that once brought you joy now feel like a distant memory. Your own needs have been silenced for so long you have forgotten their names. This is the deepest, most subtle cost of self-abandonment. It is not just exhaustion, it is a form of erasure. The great psychologist Carl Jung understood that the parts of us we ignore do not simply wait patiently. They retreat. They become ghosts in our own house. This is the work of the shadow, not just to hide, but to make us forget. This video is about remembering. It is a gentle guide to finding the lost map and taking the first courageous step back toward the forgotten landscape of your own soul. It is time to unlock the freedom that has been waiting for you in the silence you have been taught to fear.
To forget oneself is not a sudden event. It is a slow, quiet erosion, a death by 1,000 paper cuts of concession and duty. You do not wake up one day a stranger to yourself. You simply stop asking one crucial question. But what do I want? And after years of not asking, you forget the question even exists. Let's talk about Anna. Anna is 42, a successful corporate lawyer. She is sharp, respected, and impeccably put together. Her life is a fortress of achievements, a beautiful home, a loving husband, 2 bright children, a corner office. She is the embodiment of the woman who has it all. Her persona is that of the competent woman. She is reliable, intelligent, and always in control. Last month, Anna found herself in a therapist's office. She didn't have a specific crisis, just a low-grade, persistent feeling of grayness, a sense that she was living inside a beautifully decorated house that didn't feel like home. Her therapist, a kind older woman, listened patiently as Anna detailed her busy schedule, her responsibilities at work, her children's activities. Then she asked a simple question. Putting all of that aside, Anna, what do you like to do? What brings you joy? Anna opened her mouth to answer, and nothing came out. Her mind, a brilliant tool that could dissect complex legal contracts in minutes, went completely blank. She searched for an answer. I like spending time with my family, she said, but it sounded hollow, like a line from a script. I enjoy my work, she tried again, but it felt like a duty, not a joy. The therapist waited. The silence grew. And in that silence, a profound and terrifying realization dawned on Anna. She didn't know. She genuinely did not know the answer. And at that realization, Anna, the competent, controlled lawyer, broke down and wept. Not quiet, graceful tears, but deep, gut-wrenching sobs. The grief of a woman who had just met herself as a complete stranger. Does this resonate? That chilling moment when you realize you know the coffee orders of everyone in your office, but you no longer know the desires of your own heart? This is a state that goes beyond mere suppression. This is what the field of psychology, influenced by the work of Carl Jung, calls dissociation. Dissociation is a brilliant, powerful survival mechanism of the psyche. When a part of our experience is too painful or too threatening to our sense of self, the mind performs a kind of magic trick. It cuts the wire. It disconnects us from that feeling, that memory, that need. For a child who is taught that their needs are too much or selfish, the pain of that rejection is immense. So to survive, the psyche doesn't just push the needs into the shadow, it severs the connection to them entirely. It pretends they don't exist. It makes you forget. For Anna, the need for unstructured play, for messy creativity, for quiet being was a threat to her persona of the competent woman. A competent woman doesn't waste time painting. A competent woman doesn't need to be unproductive. So those parts of her, those needs, were not just hidden, they were amputated from her conscious identity. She built her magnificent fortress of success on the forgotten graves of her own desires. The problem is, the parts of us that we dissociate from do not die. As Jung taught, they simply go into the unconscious, into the shadow, where they continue to exert a powerful influence. They are like ghosts in the machine. You don't see them, but they drain the power. They create that feeling of grayness, of emptiness, of living a life that isn't quite yours. That profound sense of being homesick for a home you can't remember. Your exhaustion, your burnout, your lack of joy is the sound of these ghost limbs aching. It is the grief of your exiled parts crying out to be remembered. It is the language of your forgotten self. The tragedy is not just that your needs are unmet. The tragedy is that you have been taught to believe you do not even have them. The first step in this specific, deep form of shadow work is not to meet the needs. You cannot meet a need you do not know you have. The first step is simply to acknowledge the forgetting. It is to stand in the silence of your own inner world, like Anna in that office, and to have the courage to admit, I don't know. To honor the grief of that realization. Because that admission, that moment of heartbreaking honesty, is the first crack in the fortress. It is the first time you call out to the ghosts, and it is the beginning of them, finally, starting to whisper back.
The grief of realizing you have forgotten yourself is a holy grief. It is the first sign that the exiled parts of you are ready to come home. The emptiness you feel is not a void to be feared. It is a space that has been cleared, a fallow field waiting for new seeds to be planted. But how do you know what seeds to plant when you have forgotten the language of the soil? How do you begin to honor your needs when you have been taught your entire life that your needs are a problem? We must begin by performing the most radical act of all. We must change our minds about what a need actually is. You were taught that your needs are a sign of weakness, a burden you place on others, a distraction from your duties, a form of selfishness. This is the greatest lie of the dutiful persona. Let's replace it with the truth, a truth that lies at the heart of Carl Jung's work on individuation and the journey to the self. Your needs are not a weakness. They are your soul's compass. They are the sacred internal guidance system that is constantly pointing you toward wholeness, toward authenticity, toward your own true north. Each need, no matter how small or frivolous it may seem, is a messenger from the deepest part of you. The need for rest is your body's plea for restoration. The need for play is your inner child's cry for joy. The need for solitude is your soul's demand for communion with itself. The need for creative expression is the universe's desire to create something new through you. To ignore these needs is not a sign of strength. It is an act of profound disrespect to the life force that animates you. It is like being a ship's captain who decides that the readings on the compass are an inconvenience and chooses to navigate by the demands of the waves instead. You will inevitably end up lost, exhausted, shipwrecked on the shores of burnout. The freedom your shadow holds for you is this: the freedom to finally trust your own internal guidance system, the freedom to believe that what you need matters, that it is not selfish but sacred, that honoring your needs is the most direct path back to yourself. But how do we begin this journey back, especially from a place of disconnection? We do not begin with a grand, sweeping change. We do not quit our jobs or abandon our families. That is the logic of the overwhelmed ego. The logic of the soul is much quieter. It is about small, consistent acts of devotion. It is about creating a ritual. Why a ritual? Because a ritual is different from a habit. A habit can be mindless. We do it on autopilot. But a ritual is an action performed with sacred intention. It is a way of communicating with the deep psyche in a language it understands, the language of symbol and ceremony. When you turn the simple act of making a cup of tea into a ritual, when you light a candle before you open your journal, when you consciously declare a 5-minute period of silence as sacred time, you are sending a powerful message to your unconscious, to your shadow. You are saying, I am listening now. I am making a space for you. You are important. I am important. This is the beginning of the great reconnection. It is the act of slowly, gently rebuilding the bridge between your conscious mind and the lost continent of your own soul. You are not trying to fix yourself. You are simply creating a space and inviting the forgotten parts of you to come forward and speak. At first, their voices may be faint, a whisper, a vague longing, a flicker of an image. That is because they do not yet trust you. For years, you have been the one who exiled them. You have been the guard at the gate, telling them they are too much, not important, selfish. It will take time to earn back their trust, and you do this through the consistent, loving practice of your ritual. Each time you show up for your 5 minutes of silence, each time you honor a small desire to draw or to walk in nature, you are leaving a peace offering at the gate of your inner world. You are saying, I am here. I am safe now. Please speak to me. And slowly, gently, over time, they will. The journey back to yourself does not require a grand pilgrimage. It begins right where you are, with a single, intentional breath. I am going to guide you through a simple 3-step shadow work ritual. This is not another task to add to your to-do list. Think of it as a sacred appointment with yourself. 5 minutes is all you need. You are worthy of 5 minutes. Step 1 is called creating the space. Before you can listen to your inner world, you must quiet the noise of the outer world. This first step is about creating a physical and energetic boundary. Find a place where you will not be disturbed. It could be a corner of your bedroom, your car in the driveway, or even a bathroom stall at work. The location is less important than the intention. Now, perform one small physical act to signal to your psyche that this time is different. It could be lighting a candle, making a cup of tea you will drink slowly without distraction, or simply closing the door and taking 3 deep, conscious breaths. With this small act, You are drawing a circle in time. You are saying to the universe and to yourself, for the next 5 minutes, this space is mine. I am the only one who matters here. This is a radical act for a people pleaser. It is the first step in reclaiming your territory. Step 2 is called the shadows petition. Now that you are in your sacred space, I invite you to gently close your eyes. Place a hand over your heart. Feel its beat. This is the rhythm of your own life, a rhythm you may have been ignoring. Breathe into that space for a moment. Now, I want you to ask a simple, powerful question, not with your mind, but with the feeling in your hand. Ask your inner world, your forgotten parts, your shadow. My forgotten self, what do you need from me, just for today? And then, listen. Listen with your whole body. The answer will likely not be a full sentence. Your shadow, long silenced, is shy. It will speak in whispers. The answer may be a single word that floats into your mind. Silence, nature, music, nothing. It may be an image, the image of a blank page in a journal, the memory of laughing. It may simply be a feeling, a sense of longing, a pang of sadness. Do not judge what comes. Do not analyze it. The first thing that arises, that is your truth for this moment. That is the voice of a need that is ready to be seen. This is the core of this shadow work practice. You are not guessing what you need. You are asking. And you are learning to trust the answer. Step 3 is called the sacred vow. You have heard the whisper. You have received the petition from your shadow. Now you must honor it with a small, concrete action. This is how you build trust with yourself. You must transform the whisper of a need into the integrity of a vow. The vow must be incredibly small, so small it is almost impossible to fail. The goal is not achievement. The goal is connection. If the answer was silence, your sacred vow could be, today, I vow to sit in my car for 2 minutes in silence before I walk into the house. If the answer was nature, your sacred vow could be, today I vow to stand outside and look at the sky for 60 seconds. If the answer was creativity, your vow could be, today I vow to listen to one song that I love with my full attention. Write this vow down. Say it out loud. Today, I vow to honor my need for. This is your sacred contract with yourself for the next 24 hours. It is not about adding another pressure. It is about making a single, loving promise to the forgotten parts of you. It is about proving to your shadow that you are finally, truly listening. Creating the space, the shadow's petition, the sacred vow. This is the ritual. It is the practice of turning towards yourself instead of away from yourself. The power is not in the size of the action. The power is in the consistency of the intention. By performing this simple ritual each day, you are not just meeting a small need. You are doing something far more profound. You are rewiring your nervous system. You are teaching yourself on a cellular level that your needs are not selfish, they are sacred, that you are not a resource to be depleted, but a soul to be nourished. You are slowly, gently remembering the forgotten language of yourself, and in that remembering lies your freedom.
If you have completed this ritual, if you have made one small sacred vow to yourself, then you have done more than just self-care. You have performed an act of revolution. In a world that constantly demands more from you, to choose to give something back to yourself is a radical act. In a culture that glorifies busyness, to choose 5 minutes of stillness is a rebellious act. In a lifetime of putting yourself last, to choose to honor one of your own needs is a profound act of reclaiming your sovereignty. Do not be fooled by the simplicity of this practice. The journey back to the self, the path of shadow work that Carl Jung illuminated, is not built on grand dramatic gestures. It is built on the quiet, consistent accumulation of small acts of self-loyalty. Each time you perform your ritual, you are casting a vote. You are voting for yourself. You are telling your psyche, I am worthy of my own attention. My needs are valid. I am here. This is how you heal the dissociation. This is how you earn back the trust of your own forgotten parts. Not by promising them you will change your entire life overnight, but by proving, through your small daily vows, that you are finally willing to listen, that you are a safe place for your own soul to reside. The freedom your shadow holds is not a distant destination you must struggle to reach. It is a presence you cultivate, moment by moment, within yourself. It is the freedom to hear your own needs without judgment, the freedom to honor them without guilt, the freedom to be the primary caregiver of your own inner world. This is the beginning of the end of your burnout, because you are finally starting to address the root cause, the profound drought in your own soul. Each small vow you keep is a drop of rain, and over time, these drops will become a stream, then a river, and one day you will look around and realize you are living in a garden again. So I invite you, as your final act in this sacred time, to anchor your commitment. In the comments below, share one need that you have ignored for too long. It could be a word from your inventory, rest, play, creativity. Or it could be more specific. My need to paint again. My need for a walk in the woods. Let us witness each other's forgotten parts. Let's create a chorus of needs that can no longer be silenced. But as you begin to honor your own needs, you may start to notice something else. A friction. A low-grade irritation with the world around you. You may start to notice how often your needs are dismissed, overlooked, or trampled on by others. And that feeling, that quiet, simmering bitterness, has a name. It is resentment. And in our next video, we will look directly at this powerful, often toxic emotion. We will explore resentment as a signal from your shadow that a boundary is not just being ignored by you, but is being violated by someone else. And we will begin to learn what to do about it. Until then, keep your sacred vow. Listen for the whispers. You are remembering yourself, and that is the most important work you will ever do.